Happy Halloween, everybody. I'm Dave Watkins, Watkins Films, and this is my last video of October of this year. My last video for this Halloween season, and it's been quite a Halloween season. I made 19 review videos, and you can check them out on my page. Also, did a new Lumber Baron of Jasper County special, a Halloween special. You can check out on my other page. I'm going to put a link to the new special in the description below, but my other page, Lumber Baron of Jasper County. So today we are going to rank all 13 of the Halloween movies. Halloween as far as Halloween films with Michael Myers, and one of them that he only has a small cameo in. Before we get into the reviews, I want to do a brief overview of the actual franchise. So it all started with the 1978 horror film, the very first Halloween film, which is a slasher about Michael Myers who goes after a group of teenage girls, and he's the main character. The final girl is played by Jamie Lee Curtis. The character's name is Laurie Strode. Also has Donald Pleasance in it as his psychologist, who comes. He tries to find him after he escapes from the insane asylum. So this was followed up in 1981 with Halloween 2. Now Halloween 2 takes place on the same night as the original Halloween. It's the second part of that night. Laurie Strode ends up in the hospital and is pursued by Michael Myers, the Shape, in the hospital. So after the second Halloween movie, they wanted to change it up and not have Michael Myers back, even though he does appear on a TV at one point during this film, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. But this one isn't about, it isn't a slasher movie. It's about a toy company they're releasing these masks that are killing kids, or they're going to kill kids. And this one's a very divisive one. A lot of people didn't like it, and they wanted Michael Myers back. And they did get him back. Michael Myers returns in Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers from 1988. Now, Jamie Lee Curtis did not return for this one, but Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis does return, despite his character being killed off in the second one. But he returns, as does Michael Myers, and there's a new main character established here in Danielle Harris's character. She's a younger preteen girl named Jamie Lloyd, who is the daughter of Jamie Lee Curtis's character. So in this film follows, now something I didn't say before, in the second Halloween, it's revealed that Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Laurie Strode, is Michael Myers' sister. So he's been after her the whole time because she's his sister. Here, Jamie Lee Curtis has a daughter, and Jamie Lee Curtis's character is killed off screen between 2 and 4. And I guess because she didn't want to come back. It's quite an unfortunate thing, because you really wanted to. It would have been nice to explore that brother-sister thing between Michael and Laurie Strode, but instead we have him chasing Danielle Harris's character and her babysitters and friends and things of that nature. Followed in 1989 by a fifth Michael Myers movie, which saw the return of Jamie Lloyd, Danielle Harris's character, as well as Donald Pleasance, and of course Michael Myers. And this one, it kind of breezes over like a cliffhanger ending at the end of the fourth one, where Jamie Lloyd's character seems like she's going to become a serial killer like Michael Myers, but then they completely abandon that kind of plot line and they go for something different. Following this, and this was a while between the next movie, but in 1995 they came out with Curse of Michael Myers, where you see Jamie Lloyd returns, this time not played by Danielle Harris, and this time she's 15 years old and she's pregnant with Michael Myers' baby. So it gets a little crazy in this one. And then also Michael Myers is tied to some druids who are trying to help him kill people. And this one, Donald Pleasance returns for the last time. He died. They shot the film, and then he died before they were able to do some reshoots. And there's two versions of this film. There's the original theatrical cut, and there's the producer's cut. Now, the producer's cut has about 45 minutes of different stuff in it, and it's completely. And some of the stuff's a lot different than the theatrical trailer. The theatrical version. The theatrical version is probably better, but there are some scenes in the producer's cut worth noting. So following this one, this is the first time it was rebooted, like a hardcore reboot, when we saw Halloween H2O. And this one ignores all the films after the second one. Here, Jamie Lee Curtis returns pretty awesomely as Laurie Strode, but she didn't die, and then Jamie Lloyd was never born. So they ignore everything after 2, and then they go forward. And it's a pretty strong forward. But unfortunately, they kill all momentum with the next one, Halloween Resurrection, where at the very beginning of the film, they kill Laurie Strode off, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, and then it's a lot of it's like a reality show where these people go into Michael Myers' house, and they're going to stay overnight, and they all have like cameras on, and people are watching it on the internet. And it's, I don't know. We'll talk about it some more here in just a minute. All right, so then after that, we had Rob Zombie ended up rebooting the franchise. Now, I don't have physical copies other than, I do have this Blu-ray set. It's a Blu-ray set that has the first 10 movies in it. So Rob Zombie's, doesn't have a 4K out yet, but Rob Zombie did 2 of them, and he kind of rebooted. He basically did the first Halloween movie, but he adds a lot of backstory to Michael Myers. He kind of shows you how he became a killer and things of that nature. It does have Laurie Strode in it, and she's played by the same actress that plays her sister, Judith Myers. That he kills her, and then baby, like Jamie Lee Curtis's character is a baby there, but she's played by a different actress as an adult instead of Jamie Lee Curtis isn't in these. But it was a Scout Taylor Compton plays the character, and then so it follows that, and then the second half of the film kind of remakes Halloween 1, the first Halloween film. It kind of remakes the whole thing, and then the second, he made a second film, and it just goes completely bonkers in a different directions. There's another Halloween Night, I think, a year later, and so then after that, it was stagnant for a little bit from 2009 until I think 2018, and then they did another reboot, Halloween. Now this one is, they ignore everything except for the first Halloween, and the reason they do that is because they don't want Laurie Strode to be Michael Myers' sister. They bring Jamie Lee Curtis back, a lot older here, but she's not his sister anymore. So then this one is almost like, this one's pretty solid. It is very similar to the first Halloween, and has some pretty cool stuff. And then they did a sequel to that one called, this one's actually the first in a trilogy, and then they did a sequel to that one, Halloween Kills, which is the second part of the night set up in the first one here. And then they did one last one of that trilogy. This is the newest one, Halloween Ends, from 2022, and this one takes place 3 years later, and it actually, Michael Myers isn't the main villain here. There's a new villain named Corey who starts to become a serial killer, and Michael Myers, and he ends up running across Michael Myers during the film. So that's the timelines of the movies. Now let's go ahead and get into the rankings of these things. Coming in at number 13, I'm going to go with Halloween Resurrection. Now, I watched this, I hadn't seen the whole movie. I watched most of it last year, but last night I rewatched the whole thing, and I knew I was going to put it last, but I did like it. It is somewhat fun. This one's really ridiculous, but it does have some fun stuff in it, but it is the most ridiculous. The worst thing about this film is that they killed Jamie Lee Curtis's character off at the beginning. It would have been a lot better had she just not been in the movie at all. But even there's some fairly likable actors in this, as far as the people who are they come to the Michael Myers house, but there's a lot of really cringeworthy moments here. But some of it is fun, and it's fairly ridiculous overall, though. That's why I'm putting it at number 13. At number 12, I'm going to go with Halloween Kills. Now, this is the second one in the newer trilogy, and the reason I didn't like this one very much, I just thought this one was just too much. It was just too much. There's a lot more kills. There's a lot more violence in it, but it was just too much in a way, in a way that it's not suspenseful, and like the way that the characters are acting in it was just very annoying to me. The way that all the town people want to fight Michael Myers, and they just get this big mob together and they start shouting like "Evil dies tonight," and it just, I don't know. I was expecting to enjoy this one actually, because I did like this one a lot, like the first Halloween in the trilogy. So this one I was expecting to like, and I was surprised that I didn't. I might rewatch it one day and change my mind on that. I don't know. We'll see. Coming in at number 11, and this is probably going to be a controversial choice, but I'm going with Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. I didn't like the way, after the fourth one, which was I thought was fairly solid, they kind of started to change the plot line, and Donald Pleasance returns in this, which is awesome, but he just seems like one note in this. Unfortunately, they didn't want to develop the character too much. He just seems to be yelling a lot, and they kill off one of the protagonists from the other one, and then they replace her with a new protagonist, like named Tina. That's a fairly annoying character. This one's kind of tough for me, but I will rewatch it again. I haven't rewatched it in 4K. I think the last time I watched it was out of this Blu-ray set, so maybe I'll have a different opinion of it next time I watch it. Coming in at number 10, Halloween Ends. Now, last year I watched half of this film and I didn't like it, and I went ahead and rewatched it this year, and the second half of this film is a lot better than the first half, and it's pretty good, and it may eventually become I guess better light, maybe. But I would, like, if I hadn't watched the whole movie yesterday, I probably would have put this last on the list, or second before last, because it was very frustrating, the first half of this film. But I do see where they were going with it, and I do see that they did have somewhat of a plan for that new trilogy. Coming in at number 9, I'm going to go with I don't have the cover for it, but Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Now, I actually like both the Rob Zombie's Halloween movies, especially on a rewatch. This one particularly, before I rewatched this one and this first one, I probably would have put this one before the other one. But I think it's pretty. It is fun, and it's interesting seeing Rob Zombie's take on it. It's a lot more gritty than the other takes on Halloween. Coming in at number 8, I'm going to go with Rob Zombie's Halloween. Now, this one explores Michael Myers' backstory for half the film, and in the second half, we remake Halloween. But it is fairly effective, and I like Rob Zombie's style. He definitely has a very unique style, a very gritty style, and upon probably a second or third watch of this film, I've started to really appreciate that, especially after the new trilogy. Coming in at number 7, and this is going to be Halloween. Which one is it? Halloween 2. This is the one in the hospital. I do like the ending of this one. I like the ending where Dr. Loomis blows Michael Myers up and himself in the process. Of course, they both come back, but the reason I put this one lower is just because it's all in the hospital, and it's kind of cool. Actually, I watched this one again last year, I think last Halloween, and I liked it better. It looks really good in 4K too. Really, once you get past the lower ones, all of them are pretty solid. And that's the thing about these Halloween films is like next year I might watch them again and then have a different opinion on what order to put them in. But I'm going to go with number 6 at H2O. Now, this is the first reboot. It brought Jamie Lee Curtis back. It also introduces Josh Hartnett, and I thought it was pretty solid. It is from 1998. So it has that kind of late 90s vibe going, but for what it is, I thought it was fairly well done. Number 5, I'm going to go with Halloween, the remake from 2018. I thought this was a very solid entry back into it. It's almost very similar to the first one. Jamie Lee Curtis is back in form here as an older version of Laurie Strode, who has kind of taken on the Dr. Loomis part because he's no longer around, but she's kind of the person wanting to hunt Michael Myers, and it was a fairly solid start to the new trilogy. From seeing this, it was a great start, but I don't necessarily disagree with the way that they went with it. It just wasn't what anyone thought it was going to be. Now, going into the fourth one, this was hard for me to put this one at 4. I almost put it at 3, but we're going to look at Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Now, this is the first one I saw in the theater, so it's kind of a nostalgic one for me. And this one's the one with the Curse of the Thorn, where the druid, there's Michael Myers is connected to druids. It also introduces Paul Rudd is introduced in it. He plays Tommy Doyle, one of the kid from the first film that Jamie Lee Curtis's character was babysitting, and he's the protagonist in it. This one's very divisive. I think some people don't like it. I've always this is one I've probably seen more than most of the other ones. Coming in at number 3, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Here he returns after not being in Halloween 3. He's back, and I do like Jamie Lloyd, especially in this one. And Donald Pleasence is back in pretty good form here, trying to chase Michael Myers. And this one is I think this was a good return to form, and it was nice to see Michael Myers back on the screen. It's one of the more solid ones. And coming in at number 2, and I'm sure a lot of people would disagree with this, but I'm going with Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Now, this is the one out of all of them that I've seen the most times. It is cheesy, and it's kind of some of the plot stuff doesn't make a lot of sense, but I've always had a fun time with it. It's also got Tom Atkins in it and his mustache that a lot of people are jealous of, apparently. And coming in at number 1, and what could it possibly be but Halloween, the original one. This one's hard to beat. I watched it again, I think, last year on 4K, and it looks terrific in its 4K. This is the introduction of Michael Myers and Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. This is where it all began, and they never really got better than this, but it is funny the way they were branch off into so many different directions and try to do different creative stuff with this franchise. So anyway, it is now Halloween. I've had a good run of it, of making these videos this Halloween season. I'm probably going to make some more horror videos coming up. I don't think I've got it out of my system yet, but I'm going to review something that's not a horror movie pretty soon. Anyway, if you, I'm sure you have a different opinion of me about, I'm sure most people have a different opinion about how they would rank these films, but I think most people would agree with me. The first one is the best. Anyway, if you get a chance to, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'm Dave Watkins. Thanks for watching.